Well, once again, it is Saturday night, and I hope everyone is feeling all right. It is Saturday night. It is time to shoot the shit with me, the host with the most, the man who's the toast of the East Coast, the BBB himself, the Boston bad boy, Jason Rumble. And when I'm on the mic, I do not mumble, I do not fumble. And as you can tell, I love it because I ain't humble. How we doing, everyone? You know, it's been a little bit, not such a busy week in pro wrestling, but we still, try to come live every week, talk the world of professional wrestling, and we're going to shoot the shit. Whether or not it takes us 60, 90, 120 minutes, we are here for you. For those of you tuning in live on Facebook, live on Twitch, live on YouTube. And as always, I pull in people who get in the studio first. Mr. AJP all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. Brother, how the hell are you? Yeah, we the last we talked, you tested positive
for COVID. Yeah, I'm getting through it. I'm getting better day by day. I'm actually right now is like the first time I could actually breathe through my nose. It's weird. A couple minutes, but yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm in my place until Wednesday, and then I can start venturing outside. So it's all right. Get a bit of writing done, watch some wrestling, and
that's good.
Just relax, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome, buddy. Well, we're gonna bring in the APOC himself, Mr. Apocalypse. Stiff Mike King, what you doing tonight, brother? It looks like you're outside the wrestling venue.
Yeah.
Figured
I'd check in real quick.
Yeah. What's on store for you tonight? What do they got you doing? Anything?
I just did a run in.
Yeah.
So it's the clown show at APW right now.
Really? Fill us in a little bit about the New England indie wrestling scene, Mike. For those of that. We talk wrestling. That's
really?
What we do around
you really
here.
Want me to fill you in on the shit show that it is? Sure.
I would love it. Mike, I'm telling you, I was approached about 3 weeks ago from a buddy of mine up here, and there's a restaurant where they want me to do a parking lot event during an open day where they want to bring in people and for to advertise his restaurant. And I told them the amount of money. Well, can I tell you, Mike, the amount of money that it costs just for the boys with gas being $4.25 a gallon is just face it. Unless the guys are coming down from down the street, it's a hard thing to do right now.
Brother, me and you will get in there and tear it up.
Well, I'll be talking to the guy this week. So
I'll put it to you this way. I miss the old school independent wrestling.
Yeah.
These new kids that are coming in, they got no respect. They like to big league everybody, think they're better than everybody else. And we all know how I feel about that now, don't we? So I give people shit all the time when they don't shake my hand. Like today, people know who I am. And they just decided to big league me. I said, what are you, better than me? Yeah. Can't shake somebody's hand. I've been doing this for 26 years. You can get out and go home.
So when I first started, I got the respect beaten into me.
That's what we did. That's how we were trained. These kids nowadays, you got to coddle them.
My God.
It's sickening.
You got Jeff Ferguson being a heel right now. Mike, I will never shake your hand. What will you do? Kiss his feet?
Please. First of all, Jeff, whatever, dude. You seem like you're a cool kid. You don't want to shake my hand? I'll slap the taste out of your mouth. Plain and simple.
He's ribbing you. Good kid.
It just exactly. It's just it's bad. The independent scene is bad right now.
All-knowing Kazoo. Yeah, I haven't been in the locker room in 2 years, so I really,
Hey, my advice to you, Jason, is stay out of the locker room because you'll pull the hair out of your head. It's bad.
Hey, I recognize the BBB and this Pelly. Who are you down there again? Who are you? I don't know you. Who the hell are you? I wouldn't shake your hand either. Fuck you.
Listen, you big bald-headed freak.
Fuck you.
Go hammer some nails. Shut up.
Why do you think I got out of the business, brother? And you're just 10 years too late.
I'll tell you right now, man. I'll tell you. There's people I want to get in the ring with and just beat the piss out of. You have no idea.
Brother, I learned that lesson 10 years ago. I learned it actually earlier than that, but
it's gotten worse. It's definitely gotten worse.
But yeah, I mean, I told you my incident started. I learned it happened that day when it was Mr. Spelmonte and the manager, the guy that was DC Diligence manager there.
Sean Gorman.
Yeah, it was Gorman and them, and we had a script for them, and they pretty much big leagued the entire thing. Said, wow, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that script. And
yeah,
that's where it all started for me. Well, that's where I realized that this business is dead. Everything is
dead. And then people want to get paid stupid amount of money, and they're not even worth $25 in the ring. It's that bad.
Yeah, well,
everybody wants to do flips and cartwheels and moonsaults, and they don't want to tell a story. They don't want to work. It's depressing.
That's how it is nowadays. Everyone thinks that because that's what's going to get them to AEW or get them to WWE, and the problem is nowadays it's what's flashy.
Yeah.
The best thing, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it tonight, was the Dustin Rhodes. The Cody Rhodes interview, and you got to love it because the kid's a student of old school. He's an old
I'm going to sit down and watch that tomorrow.
It was amazing. But he's an anomaly for his age group because, I mean, thankfully he was raised in the business, but these kids don't give a fuck anymore. Nobody cares. And no offense, there are bookers and promoters out there that's how they're booking and promoting. So
yeah,
but no offense.
They think they can do all these flippy stuff like to get the attention, maybe of AEW, but WWE creates their own wrestlers now. They're not looking for wrestlers. They create the wrestlers.
Well, that's what it is. But
the problem
listen, I gotta get back in and control the locker room. So,
all right, Mike. Good luck tonight.
Hey,
later, guys.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I'll keep you posted on that potential show.
Yeah, dude, I'm in. If you want to do it, I'm in.
All right,
I'll drive up there.
All right, good.
All right.
Good.
You know, we'll have a carload from Canada Rumble.
I know that. I'll talk to the guy this week. I'm so busy with baseball, man. It's like we have 3 games a week, then we practice for 3 hours. It doesn't suck, but when you're now we have a program that's ranked. We're in the B division, but out of the whole state, we're the 5th ranked team in the whole state. So,
row the boat.
That's right, buddy. So the great and almighty Gazoo.
No, the great and all-knowing.
Oh, all-knowing.
Yes, the great and all-knowing Gazoo.
So, brother, it's been a slow week of pro wrestling. About the only thing that I think can possibly interest me is the fact of the releases on May 5th.
They were real.
They were real.
They were real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I watched NXT. I watched NXT, and NXT was the best program of the whole week. Go to all of them. The matches are great. The storytelling was great. And they were trying to tell storylines with the guys that were released. Like Roderick Strong led the Diamond Mine without Malcolm Bivens. They told a storyline where Dexter Lumis and the Porsche girl was gone. They tried to tell a story between Duke Hudson and Indy Hartwell. So they were trying to tell stories with the releases that were gone. So the releases were real.
So I think actually this week was probably one of the best Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull podcast sessions. Cody Rhodes. We were just talking about it while you were gone. Had to be one of the best that I've seen in a long time.
Oh, the Cody Rhodes one. Yes, I watched it last night.
Good. It was really good.
Yeah. You don't think that Cody seemed to be a little bit pompous and arrogant to a certain extent?
Not at all.
Or is that just that he's very confident right now?
No, I think it's I'm not, honestly, not at all, because they talked about the definition of what over is.
Yes, I like
And,
that. I like that.
yep. And I like the fact that he's flat out said, he goes, I'm working on it, but I'm not there. And no, he didn't come across to me as pompous or anything. You know what he came across to me as? Confident.
Yes.
Like, he came across as, okay, I know that I am building my own legacy. I'm not living in my father's shadow. My father's still there, but I'm not living in his shadow. This is my legacy. And I think, listen, the kid is the true tell-it-all story. Grew up in the business, grew up in the WWE. You know what I mean? Grew up, was brought through, had a great gimmick, had a shit gimmick, hated it, left, made his name, started a company, and then came back. Not many people can say they did that. And quite honest with you, I see big things for the kid. I do.
And what he did is probably the smartest thing he could have done.
What he did was the best thing for him, though.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't think anybody who says anything about him now, they're just uneducated marks. They're not smart marks. They're uneducated marks, or they're ignorant. And for anybody to shit on the kid now for what he did, they're just ignorant. They're just jealous that the fact that the kid, he's the real deal. He belongs there. I mean, I think Cody, I don't need to see Cody do a 30-minute, spot fest. I'd rather see him do a 20-minute wrestling match with Seth Rollins or a 20-minute match with AJ Styles. It's going to tell a better story than, say, 35 minutes with Kenny Omega, which would still be a great match, but where's the story to it? At least here, Cody can tell a story. I don't think that he was able really to tell a great story in AEW.
That old school wrestling formula that we learned like in wrestling school and stuff like that worked 30, 40 years ago, and it still works today if you know how to do it right. You don't need to go out there and do 50,000 spots.
Well, that's what I think part of the show, I think that's what part of the podcast was, is Cody saying that in a way, you don't need to do all that to get over. You don't need to do all that to tell the story. You don't need to do that. And the WWE is a different crowd. It appeals to a different crowd.
Yeah, different audience. I've been saying that for a while. Different audiences.
But what Jeff said, yeah, I mean, he's beneficial for the WWE. The kid is going to make the WWE money, and the WWE is going to make him money. And mark my words, when he wins the title, there will be a version of the Eagle belt brought back, or they will let him use that Eagle title.
I saw something on Facebook or something.
He wants to bring back the double winged. He wants to bring back
the Eagle title. Yeah, the last great looking heavyweight championship.
Yeah, the one Bret Hart wore.
Yeah, Bret Hart, Hogan, and then the one that Stone Cold won at the Garden.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the best looking title of all time. Hands down, the best looking title of all time.
I agree.
I'm sure the WWE will pizzazz it in such a way that it'll be a mixture of something new and something old, but
there was one belt that the WWE only used for a few months, and it was in the Hulk Hogan calendar.
Yeah, it was
silver.
Yes, the silver one. Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
That was a beautiful looking belt, man. That was after the green strap that he originally won.
And he got from Backlund. The Backlund strap.
That was the Backlund strap, because Superstar Billy Graham had destroyed the strap before that on television.
Right, because then Hogan wore that. I think Hogan had that at WrestleMania 2?
Yeah.
And then by WrestleMania 3, the title had changed to the Eagle belt.
Yeah. And there was a gold one in between the Eagle belt.
Yes.
That wasn't a bad looking one either.
No, you know what it reminds me of, though? It reminds me of like a miniature version or a much smaller version of the Ric Flair World Heavyweight title. If you look at the shape of it.
Yeah. But it was more colorful. The WWE version was much more colorful.
Yeah, the Ric's just was solid gold.
Yep. Yeah. It was solid gold with platinum, actually, the original one.
Speaking of that less is more formula, Hulk Hogan's a perfect example of that, because if you saw, I haven't seen much of his stuff in Japan Japan, maybe not. I don't know. I've heard he could really, really work, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to get over. He knew how to get over by doing less is more, and that's what made him the champion and the wrestler he was. He understood that
form. Hogan, though. I mean, look who taught Hogan. It was Hiro Matsuda. Go to the old-fashioned Japanese wrestling. There was no such thing as a high spot. There was no such thing as a thing. It was slow and methodic. Why do you think that's why I think Randy Orton is the best worker in the business today? He's slow, he's methodic. Everything is, and Cody talked about it in the interview when he talked about how he's like, I want you to feed. He's like, I know it's going to, and he was talking about how his match with Randy, he's like, kid, I know it's going to feel awkward, but just go with me. So Cody sat there and he fed and he was slow, getting up, turn, RKO 1, 2, 3. And Cody said, looking back at it now, makes perfect sense. But everything you watch Orton do, same thing with Edge. It's just, you don't have to be a blazing fast. Tell the story by being slow, especially if you're the heel. I mean, Edge, the slower he is, the more heelish it is, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I want to see the heel, do the punch, grab the guy and boom, and, show the face and then do it again. And then then he slowly but surely sells it and he grabs and does the eye rake or the nose pull. But I mean, the slower the better. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good spot fest here and there, but to me, it's, it's a spot fest. It's not wrestling.
Yeah, the only I watched AEW, a little bit of AEW this week. Thought it was,
Big Cass and Wardlow was a great match.
That was a great match.
Yeah.
I guess the WWE has eyes on Big Cass now. They're
just going to say that. Yeah, people are saying they need Cass is his value's at his highest right now for the WWE because you got wrestlers like Omos and you got the Drew McIntyres. You got these big guys that there's not a lot of people that can get that look like they should get in the ring with them. Cass is one of them.
So I'm going to bring in a special guest tonight. I'm going to bring in all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm going to bring in Mr. Jeff James.
Jefferson. But
where's Mike? I don't.
How you boys doing?
Good, buddy. Good.
So
I let you in on the stream because you're actively putting in some good little answers here. So it seems like you watched your pro wrestling this week.
A little bit, but I did look at the results online and just on YouTube. So
yeah, there you go. That's the new wave to do everything nowadays. Is looking at results and going to YouTube for the wrap up. And if you feel that you see a match that catches your eye, that's when you go on and you watch.
That's right. That's
what it was. Like Mania, I didn't really watch the full show, but I heard about Cody and Rollins, so I was like, I gotta watch this just see what it was all about.
Yeah,
like that Capelli straight up fucking wrestling match, man.
It was a wrestling match. It had a couple of spots, the high spot, but it was. One of the best moves was the reverse suplex. That was great, and then turning it into the broken arrow, the Falcon Arrow, whatever the hell the move's called. But
what Devon used to do.
Yes, but it was a hell of a wrestling match. Same with Becky and Bianca.
Incredible, and Bianca got fucked up too. You know what I mean? But she still continued. So
yeah. So
yeah, man.
But that's the difference. I think AEW. Yeah, you're going to see wrestling, but I think they tend to lean more towards spot festing.
Yeah.
You're going to have two. I don't need to see 3 versions of Darby Allin and 3 different wrestlers. That's why I kind of like MJF. MJF really kind of has that heel, slow, methodic mentality. He speeds it up when he has to. But I honestly think if there's one person right now in AEW that can go to WWE and wrestle their style, he'll get over, but I think could wrestle and quickly adapt to WWE style of wrestling would be MJF.
MJF is a perfect mold and creation for WWE.
Exactly.
Yes.
The only one that has storylines right now in AEW as well. Like with CM Punk and now Wardlow. Now he's getting over as fuck.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I could see Wardlow in WWE as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, he's that's a Vince McMahon prototype. Big and
Without
jacked.
a doubt. Without it. Now you got to utilize that word over very, very adequately now there, Mr. Jefferson James. After Cody Rhodes gave the definition of what being over is.
Okay. I didn't listen to the Stone Cold podcast with them.
I think for a young upstart like yourself in the world of wrestling, aka sports and entertainment, it would be a very valued 2 hours of your life that you would not want back.
I agree.
Yeah, it's worth every dime.
It is. I'm gonna go back and rewatch like the last 30 minutes because I was in and out, fading in and out last night when I had put it on.
So just to kind of touch upon it, we'll touch on it, but what Cody said is the definition of being over is the person who's putting the asses in the seats and selling the shirts and getting the merchandise and doing all that consistently for years, not the person that does it for a couple of months. Because if that's the case, 3/4 of the locker room have been over.
Yeah.
But I think, really, when you look at it right now in the WWE, based off of the definition of being over, it's probably on one hand. It's going to be Edge. It's going to be Orton. It's going to be Roman Reigns. Probably Becky
Lynch.
Becky Lynch. And, the fifth is going to be kind of hard to say because as much as people might say Charlotte Flair, people aren't buying tickets to see Charlotte Flair. They're buying tickets to see whoever's wrestling. If it was Becky Lynch, they're buying tickets to see Becky Lynch. Not even Seth Rollins, I would put in that category as quote unquote over. I think I agreed with the determination by Cody Rhodes that they're working to be that person that's over. Do you
think during the COVID era, during the Thunderdome era, when stuff like that, was Drew McIntyre over?
Drew McIntyre was for a silent crowd. I'm sorry, Drew McIntyre was over.
Yeah, but Drew McIntyre wasn't selling the merchandise that the merchandise sales were down no matter what. I would say Drew McIntyre was carrying the load
of
the WWE, but he wasn't over like his. And I'm going to tell you why he's not over is because where is Drew McIntyre now? He is going to be the feeder to Roman Reigns, and it's just I don't think I would say that he helped carry the load, but he hasn't done it. He's not doing it like Roman Reigns is. Roman Reigns is carrying the load in front of 30, 40, 50,000. Randy Orton has been carrying. And I would say Randy Orton is really the person who carried the WWE through COVID because, remember, McIntyre kind of came in the second half of COVID. Randy Orton, when they shut everything down, it was all Randy Orton.
How do you wait a second now? How do you figure that?
Randy
Orton McIntyre was set to get the title at WrestleMania during that COVID year.
I think what he's saying though, is that McIntyre didn't come around till like Mania and after Mania.
It took Mania to get McIntyre up to that level, and he still didn't carry it that way. Look, I'm not saying he wasn't carrying the WWE.
But the thing is, he was
over like what they're determining.
I think that COVID killed the rocket ship that Drew McIntyre was on, heading towards that live WrestleMania. Because as you remember, he won that. He won at the WrestleMania that they had that Gronk hosted in the Performance Center.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to kind of, in a way, disagree with that because I believe if COVID didn't happen, Drew McIntyre was on his way to being the top face of the WWE, very strong, and he was over up until that. I mean, maybe he wasn't over to the part of support, but the way that crowd was behind him for that 6-8 month run up until COVID, I can't hear you.
Rob, you just took the words out of my mouth. What I was gonna say was like
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? All right. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The difference is John Cena was over after the title. He was over without a belt. Drew McIntyre is not over without that title. Therefore, you can't say he's quote unquote over by that definition.
He didn't have the title up at that WrestleMania, is what I'm saying. Coming up to that WrestleMania, I felt
after the title, he's nowhere. He plummeted.
Yeah, it was because it was a silent crowd. There was nobody in the. There was no crowd after that. He's
not over with the crowd now. Is my whole point.
Yeah, but
he's not over.
We're talking 2 years ago, bud.
No, we're not talking now. We're talking now. That's the difference. Randy Orton without a world title is over. Becky Lynch without the world title is still over. Without a title is still over.
And I'm just saying, during the COVID, when we approached COVID, right before that WrestleMania, I believe Drew McIntyre was on that way.
Now, he was hot. He wasn't. He was after what Cody Rhodes said was working to be over. Same spot Cody.
And I think that the whole over effect would have happened if COVID didn't happen.
Now, Drew McIntyre, I'm telling you, I disagree. I'll agree to disagree with you. Drew McIntyre is not going to be put ever in the same conversation as Edge, as Roman Reigns, as Becky Lynch, as Randy Orton. Never.
I think he was there.
He was never there.
Getting back to who's over the most, Roman Reigns is the most over sports entertainer since John Cena.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'll give it that.
And the help, that's partly because he's got Paul Heyman writing and controlling that script, which is great. I agree. He is the most over person since John Cena. But Edge, Becky, and Orton are just as over as the definition of the word over.
And the reason I'll give it to Edge and Orton because they both had to fight that match that they did there, the I Quit match with no crowd.
It has nothing to do with the crowd. It has to do with the long. People are invested. Like that's part of what he's talking about. Is they're still selling T-shirts. Yeah. People are invested.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I'm not saying that, but without having the crowd in the arena, Capelli.
The point. It's the opposite effect. You're gonna be over when you figure out with your crowd. Anybody can be over with fucking monitors. That's my whole point. I can get over. I can be on television. You can put my face 1,000,000 times on TV, and you can say, "Oh, he's over. He's on TV." When you get in front of that live crowd, and those people are buying their shirts, or the numbers are showing you.
I totally get what you're saying. I'm not over. I understand that, but at the point in time that they were over, okay, it is even more of an accolade for them because they had to perform one of the best WrestleMania matches with nobody there.
That was a great match. I get that. That was a great match. But I'm saying the reason why these people, other than Roman Reigns, would be considered the ones who are truly over in the business is because the live crowds, the social medias, and all that shit.
They're selling tickets. They're selling tickets.
They're the ones putting the asses in seats without having to put a title around their fucking way. I mean, granted, I get it, but Orton was going to be over before that anyways. Same thing with Edge. And people just want to watch their gimmick and their storylines, and they want to see who they're working. I'm sorry, but Drew McIntyre, once he lost the strap, that was dead. Nobody cared about Drew McIntyre.
And also when Drew McIntyre lost the belt, right? There was no live audience, and I'm sorry, but having a live audience means a lot. Definitely means a lot.
Nobody. But point is when you got the live audience, they were not invested.
And by the time you got a live audience with Drew McIntyre, his rocket ship had already fell into the Atlantic Ocean, never to be realized again.
You could say the same thing for Edge. You could say the same thing.
No way. Edge has been over without the crowd, and then even more with the crowd.
Jay. Yeah, without the crowd, he's still over.
Yes.
And with the crowd, he's over even more. McIntyre isn't there. Never was. He was hot.
Yes. All I'm saying is I would have liked to have seen where the McIntyre stuff would have gone when he was that hot, and if WrestleMania had happened in front of a live audience the year he was going against Brock Lesnar. That's all I said.
Yeah, but Jay, he's a dime a dozen.
I would. That's great.
You know what I mean by that, right?
Yeah.
He's a dime a dozen. He's a tip. There's nothing, that stands out about McIntyre that I haven't seen 10 times over, or we'll see again. Ed,
I've said this before. Wrestling's about selling tickets. If you don't sell tickets, you don't wrestle because there's nobody there to watch. You don't
sell tickets and you don't sell merch and nothing. And I said it even says more to the performers of what an Orton and an Edge are, that they are that over, that without a crowd, they still had one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. And if I'm not mistaken,
a match. It really was more of kind of like the.
And I believe that at that time, that match was being billed to be the greatest match in WrestleMania history.
And it really wasn't. I think we both
exactly.
It wasn't Ricky Steamboat versus the Macho Man.
Yes, I agree. But can I ask you this? What if that match had happened with the legit live audience? Do you think it would have been better?
No, I don't, to be honest with you. I think we would have got almost the identical match. And I think, it's hard to say the greatest match of all time. It really is, because there's a lot of great matches in WWE, that is.
Can I tell you? I believe that they had a feeling that match was going to tear the house down. And I'm going to say this as a performer. I think putting my body on the line, other than knowing the fact that it's WrestleMania, you're right. I probably would have given the same amount of effort, but just having the crowd there gives you that
extra oomph.
Yeah, that extra oomph. That's all.
Of course, but I just, I don't think we would have got much more from the two of them. I mean, it was great, but don't forget too, Edge got injured in the match.
Yep.
So, I just think. I mean, it was definitely a showcase match without a doubt.
So let's put it this way. It's hard to judge, legitimately, other than merchandise sales for a good year and a half, it's hard to say who was legitimately legit, other than money making, was over until crowds really came back. Like, you seen that Bray Wyatt, would you call Bray Wyatt and The Fiend over?
I would say they were hot. I wouldn't say they were over.
So you're saying The Fiend wasn't hot, even though during the time
I just said he was hot.
Oh, no. He was hot, but he wasn't.
No. Okay, I'm basing this. All right, we're talking about the definition of what Cody had said.
Yeah.
What really is over. And if you're going to take it by what Cody said, no, Bray wasn't putting asses in seats for no more than about less than a year.
Okay.
That people were really buying his shit. And I mean, he was getting there, just like Cody and Seth right now. People are buying their shit, and they may put asses in seats, but they're not truly, and I agree what he said, they're not truly over. They're working to be those wrestlers who are defined as, quote, over. Stone Cold Steve Austin is probably another person who Stone Cold Steve Austin is a person in this business who is just over.
All right. So here's one more thing to think about then. Do you think if the Fiend hadn't have like took his ball and went home, do you think the Fiend would have not been hot no more, but would have been, like, as Mike King would say, I'm over?
I think the Fiend would have. I think a part of the Fiend would have died out because I do think part of the Fiend gimmick would have died out. Unfortunately, let's be honest. Unless he was getting built like the Undertaker, who's another guy who no matter where he goes, I mean, it's the Undertaker. But unless it took years to really. I mean, when he first started, he wasn't over. It took him until he really became, quote unquote, the Undertaker and started the Ministry of Darkness gimmick and was doing the Attitude Era. Is really when he got, quote unquote, over. You know what I mean? People liked him, but I mean, you still had Hogan, you had Bret Hart, you had Shawn Michaels, and the Undertaker was really becoming one of the guys to be over. Now,
so who's the most over WWE superstar of all time? Hogan or Austin? I think it's one of the two.
I think it's very hard to say either one. I would say that's a definitive tie because you're talking two separate eras. But I mean, Hulk Hogan single-handedly was sold out with Andre and Hogan. They are the reason that WrestleMania 3 was sold out completely, hands down. They could have sold every ticket in that thing. Maybe they didn't, but Hogan sold out, was selling out places. I mean, everybody. When we were kids, the Boston Garden was sold out because Hulk Hogan was there wrestling in a tag match with Jimmy Snuka versus Big John Studd and fucking Iron Mike Sharp. You didn't care. You went to go see Hogan. And I think Austin was at that same level. Hogan did it longer, though.
All right.
That's different because Hogan did it again. I have to say, at the end of the day, I think Hogan, as much as I love Austin, Hogan will go down in history as the most, quote unquote, over professional wrestler. And the reason why I say it, and hear me out before you crucify me, is
I'm gonna crucify you.
He did it with the WWE or WWF for so long. Then he kind of died down, went to WCW. He was selling, but he wasn't. And then when he became Hollywood Hogan, it was once again everybody tuned in to see Hulk Hogan. Everybody bought everything Hogan, no matter what it was. People from the WWF or WWE stopped watching to watch Hogan. So at the end of the day, Austin is a 1B, but if I had to put one above the other, Hogan's the most over wrestler of all time.
Okay, so
you're guaranteed he was the biggest babyface of all time, but could you see him as like the biggest quote unquote heel of all time as well?
The reason why he was such a great heel was because he was the biggest babyface of all time.
Babyface, yes. I agree with that.
I can't say he's the greatest heel of all time. That goes to Ric Flair. Ric Flair was such a heel that as people change, you fell in love with Ric Flair for being the heel. And that's why, and then wrestling really transitioned to, hey, this guy's a heel for so long. I mean, look at Randy Orton. He was a heel for so long, people cheered for him.
Same thing with Austin.
But
same with Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper, yes. I wouldn't say with Austin. Austin's gimmick was he was the anti-hero. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Austin was meant to be the guy to say, fuck you to your boss, and, I'll kick your ass. He wasn't, in the WWE, he wasn't really, quote unquote, the heel. He was more the anti-hero. Yes, Roddy Piper, Jeff, I agree. He's probably the second person on that list to be one of the all-time heels.
So where does John where does John Cena fit on this list?
John Cena will go down as one of the most over wrestlers, but he really will. He'll go down as one of the most over wrestlers. I mean, but same as The Rock. Rock will go down as one of the most over wrestlers, but
would you put Bret Hart in category 2?
The Rock had no people don't realize it, but The Rock had a very short career in the WWE.
You did.
Yeah, shorter than most for sure. In that category, I mean.
What I'm saying is Cena
had even a shorter career.
Cena was over, yeah, but he also is the highest grossing paid. He's the highest grossing entertainer of all time.
Well, since he had, well, yeah, that's right, because Hogan wasn't there.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to compare the two because back then, you know, when Hogan was there, it was different. But yeah, you're right. He is the most grossing person of all time. Austin.
So Capelli, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think Bret Hart would be put in that category as over as well?
I think no.
No.
I think Bret Hart. What's a way to put this? I think Bret Hart was. He could definitely sell tickets. He definitely sold merchandise. He was over. Yeah, I won't say that he was quote unquote. I would say over.
Not per se, but
he wouldn't be in the top 10 of the WWE all-time over.
Gotcha.
What about Shawn Michaels?
If you're Canadian,
you got Austin.
If you're Canadian, Bret Hart is over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's of course. Yeah, I mean he's the fucking messiah of Canada next to Wayne Gretzky.
Our hero,
Sidney Crosby.
Mine and Pelly's.
But Bret Hart to me wouldn't be in the top 10, maybe in the top 15, but he wouldn't be in the top 10 because, I mean, you go through the list of the guys that are truly WWE, WWF overs: Hogan, Austin, Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I mean, these are people that if they put their boots on today, they're going to sell at a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton. You know what I mean? Roman Reigns is going to be in that category right now. He is in the top 10. So, I mean, Bret Hart would be over.
Bret Hart's anywhere from 10 to 15 in my estimation.
Same here. That's what I would say. I'd give him 10 to 15.
That's fair. I respect that a lot.
Here's the thing with Bret Hart. When he went to WCW, he couldn't get over for a lick. He was just he was just another person there.
Yep, it's the truth.
You know?
Yeah, when you hear Bret Hart, you think WWF.
Yep.
Of course you do. Of course you do. But the problem with Bret is, and as much as he was bland. You know, he just was like, the best Bret Hart we had was that 1 year where he was a heel before he left the WWE. That really was probably the best I've ever seen, like the most.
He was a babyface here. He was a babyface here. He was a heel in the States. It's different.
Yeah, well, I can agree with that. I believe other than Bret facing Owen and Bret facing Davey Boy and Bret facing Shawn Michaels.
Or Mr. Perfect.
Or Mr. Perfect. Or Roddy Piper. There's top five moments right there as far as opponents, as far as I'm concerned.
Austin. Bret Austin.
Bret Austin was a good, yeah.
Great one. That was a great feud, too. But, again, going to the conversation of over, that's, I mean, when you got to look at the definition of the word over, and I just, and honestly, after Roman Reigns, there's only maybe 1 to 2 people in the WWE right now, male wrestlers, that is. I don't think there's another female wrestler other than Becky right now that can, as much as Charlotte's a great wrestler and a great whatever she is, she's not at the same level as Becky is what I would call over. Bianca Belair is nowhere near it. There's not another female wrestler in the WWE right now currently that I think can reach the Becky Lynch level. But I think for the male side of things, like I said, Edge, Orton, Roman, AJ could be there. AJ Styles is over in the wrestling business. I mean, everybody knows his face. Every wrestler on the planet wants to work with him. But I think for young talent, next up-and-comer, there's probably only 1 or 2. Maybe Matt Riddle. And I think the only other person is when he comes to the WWE that will be over like a motherfucker and will become over would be MJF. There's really not many other people in the business I see that would ever reach that echelon, as you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised. MJF's already got the call. 2024. Here's what we want to offer you. Come work for us.
Of course. I'm AJP. I'm with you all the way on that. All the way.
Think he's already talking to WWE?
I tell you right now, there's no doubt in my mind he has got feelers and he's talked to people. I mean, he can't legally talk to them, but there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, listen, he ain't stupid. He's one of the smartest kids in the business. When you're sitting there saying, hey, 2024, blah, 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 and he's talking Vince and he's talking WrestleMania on AEW television, he's living rent-free there. And I love it. I mean, I can't wait to see him in the WWE.
Yeah, he's gonna be over.
What do you think? How much money do you think it's gonna take?
Guaranteed $3 to $4 million a year. It's gonna be. He'll get a base contract, and then he'll get money for residuals from pay-per-views and the network, and then merchandise. But I mean, listen, the kid knows his bread is gonna get buttered in the WWE. Let's be honest, Jay, you're a performer. Pele, you're a performer. Listen, if you were in the big leagues, as much you can go to New Japan Pro Wrestling, you can go to AEW, you can go to Ring of Honor, but there ain't a wrestler in the world who doesn't want to step foot and go to the big dance, and that's WWE. It always will be.
You're absolutely right, Capelli.
The show, the dance. Listen, every wrestler in the world will get. Ric Flair was known. But Ric Flair was a known wrestler. But Ric Flair was exploded. The first time he came to the WWE, and then he came back. You take another guy that's like. I mean, you got these wrestlers that nowadays. I mean, at least back then we had the wrestling magazines. You had Inside Wrestling. You had The Wrestler. You had PWI. You had all the different wrestling magazines. So we all knew who Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler were. But Jerry Lawler didn't become a household name until he went to the WWE.
And that's right. He was basically already towards the end of his career as a commentator.
Jeff Jarrett didn't become a big-time wrestler. So he didn't become big-time and known bigger in the business until he went to WWE. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He started in WWE. Shawn Michaels. I mean, the list goes on. And at the end of the day, you got it. The WWE is it's where the show is. That's the show.
Triple H was in WCW for a cup of coffee.
Pretty much, but still, my point is do you think if Triple H stayed in WCW, would have had the same career, would have been as known as he is?
No, absolutely not.
No, my whole point.
He just would have been another worker there.
I mean, the Road Warriors were so well known, but I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but even when they went to WWE, it just opened up even more. The world knew them. I mean, the world already knew them, but the world outside of professional wrestling knew who the Road Warriors were because of the WWE.
100%, I agree with that. And what do people say in wrestling nowadays? The Road Warrior Pop. You know what I mean? So I was just saying, the Road Warrior Pop. That's what they fucking know. That's what they're known for.
Bubba Ray Dudley said it best. He goes, "They're the greatest tag team of all time, hands down." Mind you, I would say the Dudley Boys are in the topic of one of the greatest tag teams of all time. But when they sit there and say, hands down, Road Warriors, there's no question about it, and you get the Road Warrior Pop, what's that tell you?
Yeah. Jeff, it's funny you say the Road Warrior Pop, and Steve Austin last night said, or during the podcast to Cody, said, I hope it's not an insult or anything, but you got the Road Warrior Pop. And he was like, coming from youth, that's that whatever the fuck he said, but
Rumble, you're spoiling it for me, man. Let me watch it tomorrow, bro.
It was an honor. It was an honor. With that list,
I thought he called it the Dusty Pop, not the Road Warrior Pop.
No, he called that the Road Warrior Pop. Go back and look.
Oh, because he did mention the Dusty Pop too.
He did, but he said WrestleMania. That was the Road Warrior Pop.
Yeah. Oh, he did. You're right. It was. Yeah, that's right. WrestleMania.
He said it was an honor coming from Steve Austin, and that's what he found. When he also said right after, coming from a man who is the all-time holder of being over, basically the all-time gately, the moneymaker for the WWE.
The fact that Steve Austin had wrestlers coming up to him saying "Thank you for the house" at WrestleMania 38. What's that tell you?
Yeah. So now tomorrow, is it on Mother's Day?
Yeah, no, tomorrow. Yes, Backlash.
Does anybody know the lineup? What are we looking at tomorrow?
6-man tag for main event. You got the Bloodline. Yeah, the Bloodline versus RK Bro and Drew McIntyre. That's the main event.
That's ridiculous.
Edge and AJ Styles as well.
They did away with the whatchamacallit, the unification of the tag title match. It's the way for them to build up McIntyre versus Reigns, so Reigns can just have someone fed to him. You have Edge versus AJ Styles.
Rollins versus Rhodes again.
Rollins versus Rhodes.
That's going to be a good one, though.
Yep.
Now that faction with Edge and
Damian Priest.
Yeah, I guess I saw something. Tommaso Ciampa is going to be in it with Rhea Ripley now. The four of those guys.
Well, Ripley. I think they were going to put Ripley in it. I think they changed their mind. Tommaso Ciampa's supposed to be in it, but nothing yet. There's a tease that it might be Finn Balor going there too. I don't know.
I thought I seen Finn Balor went back with AJ Styles on Monday night.
They did. They did the whole. He came out and saved him. They did the too sweet at the end, and then he went on social media and said it's for life. But there's a gimmick there that could be possible that Balor goes with them. The idea behind the gimmick, like I told you guys in the last episode, is ultimately he's supposed to be like a Lucifer type of character, and he's going to have his quote unquote 4 horsemen. He's not going to call them 4 horsemen. But what's that, Jeff?
I would say it's like his own cult, basically, and he's like the cult leader of this shit.
It is. It's just the idea is he's supposed to be like the fallen one. He's the fallen leader. So he's supposed to be like a Lucifer, and he's going to have his 4 horsemen. But he's not going to call them 4 horsemen, but he'll have
like the dark 4 horsemen.
Right. He'll have 4. Supposedly, he's supposed to be 5 people, with him being the 5th. You're going to see him. He's not going to wrestle that much. He's going to do more, which is good for him. He'll do more managing. He'll wrestle once in a blue moon, which will be good.
Cool.
But I'm going to say this. They're going to need to get that strap off of Roman Reigns and let him just be the Universal Champion, because this unified champion is doing nothing right now. There's so many.
It was nice to see him on Raw, though, Monday night.
Yeah, but for what? To do what? I mean, that's the thing. You're not, to me, leave him on SmackDown. It's you don't want to oversaturate it either.
He hasn't wrestled since WrestleMania, correct?
This will be his first match, yes.
Yep, but that's because he suffered. Then he definitely suffered the separated shoulder that they were talking about.
Yeah, and that's why he's in a 6-man, because he won't have to do much.
Yep.
I think I'm trying to remember what else. There's.
I guess it's me, but can I tell you something? The championship belt really has never mattered much to me being on television. I'm just being straight up.
Television, though, because the problem is, Jay, and I think people might agree here. We already went through this once a couple years ago with Brock Lesnar when we never saw the title on the. It was great because people, I think, wrestlers use that. We're like, where's our champion? I'm here, he's not here. Blah 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 blah. The problem is Roman Reigns is being seen on TV, but it just. You can elevate, so you can do so much more. Like right now, right? What if they did the Randy Orton quest for 17, right?
Yeah.
You can do the Randy Orton quest for 17. You have Cody Rhodes wanting to win, talking about wanting to win that belt, the one title his father never got, and that build up, which you can still do, but the problem is, I mean, now you have to. It's all like, okay, we have to do this long term. And at the end of the day, everybody knows Anybody who steps in the ring with Roman Reigns from now up until WrestleMania is going to lose. They're not going to ever win that title. There's no surprise. There's no nothing. And I don't want to see no world champion for Raw have their own title all the way for another year. No. Because there's people that you can build. You can Matt Riddle. You can break up RK Bro, or you could do something. You got Rollins.
So with that being said, why can't a belt be done? Why can't you just utilize the Intercontinental belt or the U.S. title, or why not build a U.S. a television title?
I have an answer for you because I'm not writing for the WWE. That's why. It's as simple as that, Jay. Here's your answer. I think you've already
apply for a job then.
You've already said it too. I mean, but that's the problem. They don't. They want their stupid gimmick title 24/7 belt. They don't give a shit. The Intercontinental title was funny because Cody talked about it in the thing. Remember how you really were the true next guy when you were the IC champ back in the day. You knew when Ultimate Warrior, he was the number 2 guy. When Shawn Michaels had it, he was truly the number 2 guy. He was the next guy up. You had the world title and you had the IC title. You were true. Remember back in the day, IC champ, you were technically the number 1 contender for the belt.
Yeah,
the IC champion.
Yeah, that was when I was growing up. That was my belt. That was the guy I won, like the Intercontinental belt. Man, that was the championship for me.
Just want to quickly before we go back to that talk. Here's the final card for Backlash. Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair title match and an I Quit match. Bloodline versus McIntyre RK Bro. Rhodes Rollins, Edge and Styles. Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss.
Is that the kickoff?
And last but not least, Bobby Lashley versus Omos. That's our pay-per-view, folks.
Sweet.
So, but yeah, I mean, Jay, that's the problem. They don't give a shit about those belts. Nobody's caring. And the problem is they're putting those belts on people that they're not promoting. Yeah, who is the IC champ right now?
Ricochet.
And who's the US title champ?
Theory.
Who?
Austin
Theory.
So Austin Theory right now is Vince's protege. And let's be honest, he's kind of he's not the number 2 guy or number 3 guy. He's a mid-carder at best. Ricochet, mid-carder at best. Oh, mid-card status, I should say. You don't have, bring back the U.S. Open Invitational. Bring back, make the Intercontinental title. Put that on somebody like AJ Styles and give it to Edge. Let Edge be that number 2 guy. Give it to somebody else. The problem is they don't give a shit about those belts. They don't.
That's a testament enough because they didn't even have them on WrestleMania.
You want to do something cool? You want to do something different? You know what you do with the IC title? Put it around Rhea Ripley and let her wrestle men. And tell her it's an open title match. I'll wrestle male or female.
She has the body structure.
That's what I'm saying. She has the body. She has the build. She can step in the ring. She can step in the ring with somebody. Other companies are doing it now. You want to be inclusive? Be inclusive. Open it up. But do
I don't know. I would not. I'll be honest with you and hear me out. The WWE is a family-oriented
I agree.
promotion, and I'm sorry to say, Capelli, I would not let my kids watch if there was a girl beating up a boy and a boy beating up a girl.
Why?
Because it doesn't send the right message. Doesn't send the right message. Kids don't.
Who doesn't send the right message to, though? Does it not? And I ask, does it not send the right message to a boy that a girl can beat her up? Or are you saying it doesn't send the right message to a girl that she can get in the ring and be equal to a man? Which one is it?
Well, seeing how you could normally get arrested for assault and battery if a man hits a woman, and when I teach my son to keep his hands off of women and treat them with respect, I don't want my son watching that.
Okay. Do you take issue with it that you see it in other promotions?
Yes, I do. And
fair enough. I'm asking. That's all. I'm just asking.
Yes, I do. Okay. A number one, I do. Yes. And I just believe it sets the wrong example, man.
Right, fair enough. That's fine. But then
hear me out. What if mommy and daddy are battling one night in the living room and things turn real? And a kid looks at that and doesn't think anything of it other than he was just watching a WWE match and watching Austin Theory beat the hell out of Rhea Ripley. And to him, that's okay. Now that's okay. Like it's the world we are living in.
I agree.
To promote that style of violence.
But did you take issue when Bubba Ray Dudley put fucking what's her face through a table?
Who, Mae Young?
Back then, did we take issue back then? No, we didn't.
To a certain extent, grabbing that old lady, knowing how brittle she was, but knowing that honestly she's tougher than half the men out there, I was conflicted to a certain extent.
See, all right, so I'll say this much. To me, I agree with you when it comes to the boy hitting the girl. I agree 100%. I think it's kind of it's an argument that could be made it's kind of a one-sided argument in a way for a woman because it tells two different stories. In one aspect, if it ever did something like that, yes, you're right, because they're promoting a man hitting a woman, and you're right, and they're in a match, and it shouldn't happen. And I agree. I think the counter to that, and just playing devil's advocate, is it tells a woman, I can step in the ring with a man, and I can wrestle him, and I can beat him. So, but I agree with you. Again, this is just an idea. I think that it tells two different stories. And you're right. At the end of the day, WWE is
I agree with Rumble that I don't want to see a man striking a woman, but could they go out there and just have a technical wrestling match?
No, because there is no such thing as a match without strikes.
Right. Jay's right. There's no such thing as a wrestling match.
You cannot. I'm sorry. Try that now. No way. People have watched too much wrestling in order for their brains not to think of striking. Because the first thing a wrestler that goes through a wrestler's mind is when a blank comes and a guy is selling is to what? Give him a chop, give him a punch. Nobody takes a headlock. Nobody takes an arm wringer no more.
Clothesline would be a strike.
At least no strikes to the face. At least no strikes to the face.
No, but it's strike. No. But I understand what Jay is saying. But my point is to go back. I mean, because we kind of peeled off. Is yes, I agree. I think there could be a counter argument for the woman's side of it to say, yes, I can get the ring with a man, but I agree with Jay saying and you, Pelly, that I myself don't want to see the one. I wouldn't. I mean, we all know it's wrestling. We know it's a script, but the WWE is not going to put that on TV. But here's what they could do to reel this all back in: take the Intercontinental title, turn it into just a woman's belt, and build and let it be and let it be on both shows. You take the U.S. title, it goes on both shows. You take the IC belt and say, all right, IC belt's now a woman's title, and you help build up because there are women. Simple person, Liv Morgan. Put the IC title on Liv Morgan and let her have her light in the spotlight. You could have people that could wear that belt without having to be world champion. Could be fucking Charlotte. I mean, not Charlotte. I'm sorry. Could be fucking Bayley coming back. Could be all these different women wrestlers.
Forbesy came in before I could tell him to fuck off.
So I think they could make a women's intercontinental belt regardless, because if you was to keep the belt unified, if you just say this, if you're keeping the belt unified, you still have two belts that you could utilize. And yes, are they promoting them right now? No, but could they promote them? You bet your ass they could.
You're right, they could, but they're not.
They're not. And they're dropping the ball to that extent.
But that's my whole point.
I don't think, and hear me out, I don't think that the women's wrestling itself, I don't think that there's enough generated television time.
Fuck off, Forbesy.
Pac don't want none. I had to text him and put, don't worry, Mike's not here. He won't bust your balls.
Look at that.
Hey, but I'm here to bust your balls, Forbes.
That's all right, man. You're a WWE shill just like the rest of them.
Oh, my God. Listen to you. You are can I tell you this? And this is just, hear me out.
Hold on a sec, Jane. I'm kidding.
The release thing.
Fuck.
When people are released.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of these people that Vince kept employed for these amount of years were lucky to be employed in the first place because there was no wrestling promotion for these, so to speak, wrestlers to go to. Are some of the people that he let go head scratches? Hell yeah. But some of the people that you never even heard of, I look at this, they're lucky they were getting paid. Because they probably wouldn't be getting paid anywhere else. And for people to be shedding a tear about a lot of this is ridiculous. People get fired from a job on a daily basis.
So, speaking of releases,
they haven't.
Fightful Sports said there is a superstar, a prominent superstar, who may be getting released or asking for their release. Who are they talking about? Because I've read it's a few different people. One might be Alexa Bliss, one might be Finn Balor. But Fightful reported that the other day. That there's a prominent superstar who's unhappy in either getting released in the next release that's supposedly coming in any time, or will be or is gonna ask for their release.
They blow that stuff up sometimes. Like I know Roderick Strong was looking for his release, but they might be.
I think that's the one. I think that's who it is. I think it's Roderick Strong.
Would you call Roderick Strong a prominent WWE superstar? No.
It's Balor.
You think it's Balor?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see Balor wanting his release.
He just signed a contract.
He go right back.
Less than a year ago.
He go right back to New Japan. I think those releases are going to be, obviously there's a pay-per-view tomorrow, but like 3 days after that pay-per-view, there's probably going to be another shitstorm of releases.
Who on the main roster are we going to see released?
I think you'll see people like Shotzi. I had a list in front of me, but I can't read it because I'm on this. Do you ever realize when people get released, the WWE will give them a little push right before they get released? Well, they just reported $27 billion in profit. Like I can see Drew Gulak get released. Like another $27 million in profit. Like they're totally in the red. I mean, they're not
totally in the green. The red would be their hurt.
Yeah, in the green.
They're in the black, not the red. The black is profit. The red is
okay.
Negative.
Listen, forgive me. I just woke up from a nap. I just watched AEW Dynamite.
What did you find wrong with the AEW Dynamite?
Just like WWE match, great. Not enough TV time. Too many stars, man. 3 weeks till All or Nothing, Double or Nothing. And who do you got other than MJF and Wardlow and Punk and Hangman? What matches do you have, and how much time do you got to build?
Yeah, MJF. Yeah, that's it.
Well, you're definitely gonna see, the Red Devil Fight Club. Probably gonna go against Jurassic Express. Yeah, the Red Devil Fight Club or whatever they called it.
Blackpool Fight Club.
The Blackpool Fight Club. And then what does Bobby Fish and Tyler O'Reilly go by? The Red Dragon.
Red Dragon.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about Adam Cole? Is he doing anything?
Yeah.
Is he doing anything? Is Kyle O'Reilly doing anything with him? I mean, I thought the Undisputed Era was doing a thing.
It's the undisputed elite.
Yeah.
I believe you're going to see those. I believe you're going to see
Kenny Omega back. Kenny Omega will return.
Oh yeah, I hear Omega's close to return.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this much for AEW, and I have read this. Look for this year, Dustin Rhodes to return to the WWE. Most likely in a producer's role.
Really?
Yep. They've always loved. I mean, look. I mean, he's going to wind up back in the WWE, and he'll be a producer, no doubt.
Where did you hear this, or is this just something you're thinking?
It's just something I'm thinking.
Yeah, I kind of think that myself, especially after they put over the Nightmare Factory.
Yep, that, and I just, he left on good terms. He's always been over. He's as sober as they come. If you follow, like I follow him on Facebook, and I'm friends with him on Facebook, and some of the stuff, just you can see it. He's gonna wind up back there. And I think it'd be good for him. I think he's such
excellent producer.
He'll be a phenomenal producer for them.
Facebook user Mike Forbes, why do you disappear? I agree. Dustin will get paid more from WWE. He disappears. I love him.
You fucking coward! Why'd you leave?
No, I think that's Ralph. Facebook user, I think, is Ralph.
Hey, Capelli.
No, I have two windows on my my screen, so I'm watching us live right now through our Facebook network.
Oh, okay.
That must be cool as shit. Seeing yourself and being on live at the same time.
Yep.
Quite the fuck time. But I gotta say one thing. Forbes is a fucking coward. Kidding, Forbes. I love you.
No, he's not, Forbes.
I kind of am not.
So, before we wrap things up, any predictions or anything that you guys would like to say that could happen Sunday, could happen Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday this week that we might be expecting?
Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair match is going to end in some type of schmoz where nobody's going to have to say I quit, and Charlotte's still going to have the strap.
I think the Bloodline's going to go over in the main event.
Yeah, because something tells me they go over in the main event somehow. And I do think that I'm going to say it. I have a feeling that when we see the next round of releases, my prediction is Alexa Bliss will be released from the WWE because she's been very boisterous about her displeasure recently, and she's not holding back.
I have not seen anything on Alexa.
I kind of like what Capelli was saying tonight, and the same with Rumble, putting everything together. The unification title will be separated, and I can see Drew McIntyre being the WWE champion, and Roman Reigns.
He's on SmackDown, so it'd have to be the Universal title, and I don't see that happening.
No, okay, sorry. I thought Drew McIntyre.
No, they're likely keeping that on Roman for a long, long time.
I don't know. Roman will have the Universal.
That's what I mean.
But I'm just saying the unification that'll split. That'll split in the next couple of.
Hey, Jeff, just so you know, your friend Apocalypse says, "Why is Jeff laying down again? Sit up, clown."
Brother, I gotta rest me back. Bye. Sorry. It's hitting fucking hurts now.
I think in the next coming weeks, I don't know, wrestling's kind of in the lull right now. I think they need to really start building towards Summers. They need to do a big SummerSlam because they're already talking about doing more stadium shows.
Yep. It's already been said, man. I talked about that a few months back.
I mean, they're doing more stadium. I think you're going to start seeing Raw and SmackDowns at stadiums, not arenas. But I think they really need to start doing their push and build to SummerSlam if they want to have a good SummerSlam.
Fuck you, Mike. I'm getting up. Hey, I didn't fall asleep this time, though.
So, yeah, I'm just hoping we get we get some good matches. I'm kind of bummed out about the 6-man. And I think the one match I'm probably looking forward to is the Rollins Cody Rhodes matchup. And I definitely want to see Edge and AJ.
Those are the two that I'm looking forward to. Edge and AJ and Rollins and Cody. And I think if I was the booker, if I was booking that, I would have Cody lose, but have him lose by getting screwed over and have Rollins cheat so you can stop building up that feud versus I don't want to see Cody consistently go over. I want to see it get built more and more.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait a minute. Fuck me. Is that what you said, Jeff?
Yeah, he's gonna tell him, I'm gonna come up there and I'll slap you. Yeah.
Listen, look at that dome. The glare off that bald head is killing me. Put a hat on, would you?
Mike, you know what that is?
There's no hat that will fit that dome.
That's the godliness coming into me.
Yeah, okay. What's wrong with your back, you clown?
Let me get some tinfoil. I'll just go like this and suntan.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I figured I'd pop in real quick to break balls. You know.
You're good at that.
Where's Forbesy?
I don't know. He's afraid. He said his Wi-Fi ain't good.
Oh, I told him to fuck off and he left.
He started talking about AEW Dynamite, and that was the end of it.
Oh, yeah, well.
So he's able to watch, and look what he puts. Oh, look, it's Clown King doing a run-in.
No, Forbesy, you're not on. That's why, you know, you can't call me a clown because you're the biggest clown on here.
Hey, man. Warrior. Hey, Forbesy, come back on here, you coward.
You fucking clown.
All right, fellas. Well, listen, I hope everybody had a great evening. It was awesome talking pro wrestling with you all.
Rumble.
Hey, tune in Wednesday night.
Tune in Wednesday. That's right. Tune in Wednesday nights for our sports.
Speaking of Wednesday nights, you gimmick stealing sons of a bitches. That's my music, goddammit, not yours.
Think of it as a tribute to you, Mike.
I'm just busting balls. I don't care, to be honest with you.
I gotta put this.
It was funny.
Mike, who are you again? We don't know you.
Oh, yeah, we don't know who you are.
Wait, hold on. This dome is just going to big league you. Who's that guy talking?
Big League Kelly.
If you paint it green, then we're good.
How's this, Mike? Is that green enough for you?
That's yellow. You kind of look like SpongeBob.
No, that's green, buddy. It actually is green. It's fluorescent green.
Okay. No, it's got to be a dark green, and you got to put 2 antennas on each side, and glue the antennas on. Then they can go, hello, dum-dums.
Well, listen, tune in Wednesday to hear from Talking from the Cheap Seats with Rumble and the Gazoo.
That's right.
Because those Boston Red Sox.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not cursing it right now.
Listen, we can't say nothing because the Yankees are in first fucking place. So I'm not saying nothing to you.
It's all good.
But you know what? But the only thing of it is the other 2 Boston teams are shit in the bed big time.
The fuck you talking about?
The Celtics lost by 2 today. They had plenty of opportunity to get back in it.
Get him the fuck out of here. Kick him out.
What happened to the Bruins?
Oh, keep
they won, you asshole.
They won!
I know that. I'm just breaking balls. Relax.
Goodbye.
Oh, look at it. Now his head's turning red. He's so mad right now.
All right.
I'm gonna
everybody, thanks for watching. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next week, either Friday or Saturday night, but Wednesday night be in and tune in to the best sports talk show known to man, coming to Spotify, iTunes, and many more podcast outlets. By Monday, everything should be ready and available.
Forbesy, you're a tool bag.
So,
fuck off, Forbesy.
From all of us here, have a great night.
Later, guys.
See you guys.